hope you all fine. In this video session, we are going to learn 10th standard science unit 2 optics. Dear children, today we are going to learn unit 2 optics. Do you know what is optics? Optics is the study of sight and light. You all know light is a form of energy. If anybody asks what is energy, energy is neither be created and nor be destroyed. You all know many energies there: kinetic energy, wind energy, electric energy. But in this chapter, we are going to discuss especially about light and how it travels. And we shall discuss about the scattering of light, images formed by convex and concave lenses, human eye, and optical instruments such as telescopes and microscopes. You all know light is a form of energy and we can see. It moves from place to place in waves. It comes in many colors. All the colors of light put together make white color. Let us recall the properties of light and the important aspects on refraction of light. Let's see the first property. Light is a form of energy. Light always travels along a straight line. That is the second property. Third property is that light does not need any medium for its propagation. For example, air medium, water medium, solid medium. It does not require any medium to propagate. It can even travel through vacuum. Fourth property is that speed of light in vacuum or air is c is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters second minus 1. Here c is denotes that speed of light. Fifth property is that c is equal to mu into lambda. I have mentioned many times light is form of energy. One more thing you should know, light travels in the form of wave. Since it is in the form of waves, it is characterized by a wavelength, that is lambda. C is equal to nu lambda. These both symbols are derived from Greek word. Here nu represent the frequency and lambda represent the wavelength. Now we'll see the sixth property of light. Different colored light has different wavelength and frequency. We cannot say all colors will have same frequency and same wavelength. We use it to say visible light, right? What is said to be visible light? Visible light is nothing but VGR. V represent violet, I represent indigo, B represent blue, G represent green, Y represent yellow, O represent orange, and R represent red. We cannot say all the 7 colors will have same wavelength and same frequency. All the colors will have different wavelength and different frequencies. This is the sixth property of light. Next is the seventh property of light. Among the visible light, violet light has the lowest wavelength and red light has the highest wavelength. It means red will have the wavelength of 700 nanometer, that is highest wavelength, and violet will have the wavelength of 420 nanometer, that is lowest wavelength. Next is the eighth property of light. When light is incident on the interface between two media, it is partially reflected and partially refracted. It means if you consider two media, first media is air, second media is water. The light ray, when the light rays travels in the first media, and there is change in the direction and there is change in the velocity. So after hitting the surface, it may reflect back and refract. Refract in the sense it is changing the direction. This is the eighth property of light. Let's see what is refraction of light. When a ray of light travels from one transparent medium into another, the path of the light undergoes deviation. This deviation of ray of light is called refraction. It means refraction is the change in direction of light when it passes from one media to another. To understand clearly, let's do an activity. Put a straight pencil into a tank of water or beaker of water at an angle of 45 degree and look at it from one side and above. How does the pencil look now? The pencil appears to be bent at the surface of water. So this activity explains the refraction of light, the bending of light rays when they pass obliquely from one medium to another medium is called refraction of light. Now we'll see the another example of refraction of light. So during refraction, light bends first on passing from air to glass and again on passing from the glass to air, that we can see in the figure. So first is the incident light ray is there. Okay, after passing into the glass medium, there is change in the direction of light. That ray is called what? Refracted ray. Again it's passing from the glass to air medium. Again there is a change in the direction of light. So that ray is called what? Emergent ray. And reflected ray is there. Okay, now you will understand what is refraction of light. Refraction of light obeys two laws of refraction. First law of refraction and second law of refraction. Let's see first law of refraction. The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. For example, light enters from air medium to glass medium. There will be a reflected ray and refracted ray. So an incident ray also. This incident ray, reflected ray and refracted ray all will lie on the same plane. So that is the first law of refraction. So what is the first law? The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Now we'll see the second law of refraction. The ratio of the sine of angle of incidence and sine of the angle of refraction is equal to the ratio of refractive index of the two media. This law is also known as Snell's law. In this figure, there is a two media, air medium and water medium. For given two media, the ratio sin I plus sin r is a constant, where I is the angle of incidence and r is the angle of refraction. What is refractive index? Refractive index is equal to sin I divided by sin r. Sin I is nothing but the angle of incidence, sin r is the angle of refraction. So now, what is refractive index? Refractive index gives an idea of how fast or how slow light travels in the medium. The ratio of speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in medium is defined as refractive index. When light travels from a denser medium into rarer medium, the refracted ray is bent away from the normal drawn to the interface. When light travels from a rarer medium to a denser medium, the refracted ray is bent towards a normal drawn to the interface. Here rarer medium is the air and denser medium is the water. Dear children, we know that sun is the fundamental and natural source of light. If a source of light produces a light of single color, it is known as a monochromatic source. Here mono means single, so monochromatic means single color. For example, yellow color of sun during sunsets at sunrises. On the other hand, a composite source of light produces a white light which contains light of different colors. When a beam of white light or composite light is refracted through any transparent media such as glass or water, it is split into its colored components. This phenomena is called as dispersion of light. For example, white light of sunlight passes through into a transparent media, that is a glass prism, and after that it is split into its colored components. So this splitting of colors is called as what? Dispersion of light. The band of colors is termed as spectrum. This spectrum consists of following colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. These colors are represented by the acronym VIBGYOR. Why do we get the spectrum when white light is refracted by a transparent medium? This is because different colored lights are bent through different angles. That is, the angle of refraction is different for different colors. Angle of refraction is the smallest for red and highest for violet. Now we'll see what is the scattering of light. When a beam of light falls on an atom, it causes the electrons in an atom to vibrate. Because of this vibration, the atoms re-emits the light in all the direction. This is said to be the scattering of light. We will see the different types of scattering. We have two types of scattering, elastic scattering and inelastic scattering. Incident beam and scattering beam of light are same in elastic scattering. Incident beam and scattering beam of light are not same in inelastic scattering. In inelastic scattering, based on nature and size of scatterer, we have different types of scattering. They are Rayleigh scattering, Mie scattering, Tyndall scattering and Raman scattering. Let's see detailedly about first is Rayleigh scattering. What is Rayleigh scattering? The scattering of sunlight by the atoms or molecules of the gases in the Earth atmosphere is known as Rayleigh scattering. Here Rayleigh scattering law states that the amount of scattering of light is inversely proportional to the fourth power of its wavelength. It means the shortest wavelength colors are scattered much more than the longer wavelength colors. Here wavelength symbol is lambda in the Greek word. In this figure we can able to see when sunlight passes through the atmosphere, the blue color shorter wavelength is scattered to a greater extent than the red color longer wavelength. This scattering causes the sky to appear in blue color. During sunrises and sunset, the light rays from the sun have to travel a larger distance in the atmosphere than at noon. Hence, most of the blue lights are scattered away and only the red light, which gets least scattered, reaches us. Therefore, the color of the sun is red at sunrise and sunset. Next type of scattering is the Mie scattering. Mie scattering takes place when the diameter of the scatterer is similar to or larger than the wavelength of the incident light. It is also an elastic scattering. The amount of scattering is independent of wavelength. Here, Mie scattering is caused by pollen, dust, smoke, water droplets, and other particles in the lower portion of the atmosphere. And Mie scattering is responsible for the white appearance of the clouds. When white light falls on the water drop, all the colors are equally scattered, which together form the white light. That is why clouds appear white in color. Next type of scattering is the Tyndall scattering. When a beam of sunlight enters into a dusty room through a window, then its path becomes visible to us. This is because the tiny dust particles present in the air of the room scatter the beam of light. This is an example of Tyndall scattering. So, the scattering of light rays by the colloidal particles in the colloidal solution is called Tyndall scattering or Tyndall effect. Here colloidal means is a microscopically small substance that is equally dispersed throughout another material. For example, milk, ice cream, muddy water, smoke. Next type of scattering is that Raman scattering. When a parallel beam of monochromatic light passes through a gas or liquid or transparent solid, a part of light rays are scattered. Here monochromatic means you already know that is single color. Mono means single. Now what is Raman effect? The scattered light contains some additional frequencies or wavelengths other than that of incident frequency or wavelength. This is known as Raman scattering or Raman effect. What is Raman scattering? Raman scattering is defined as the interaction of light ray with the particles of pure liquids or transparent solids, which leads to a change in wavelength or frequency. Here, the lines having frequencies lower than the incident frequency is called Stokes line, and the lines having frequencies higher than the incident frequency are called anti-Stokes lines. You will study more about Raman effect in higher classes. Now we'll see the lenses. A lens is a optically transparent medium bounded by two spherical refracting surfaces or one plane and one spherical surface. Lens is basically classified into two types. They are convex lens and concave lens. In this first we'll see the convex lens. This convex lens is also called as converging lens. It makes parallel light rays come together, and it is also known as convex lens. It is thicker at the center, thinner at the edges. Another type of lens is what? Diverging lens. It makes parallel light rays move apart. It is also known as concave lens. It is thinner in the center, thicker at the edges. We have other types of lenses that is classified on the basis of bending rays. Converging lens, that is convex, diverging lens, concave lens. Here we have the different types of lenses: biconvex, plano-convex, positive meniscus, negative meniscus, plano-concave, biconcave lenses. Now we are going to see image formation due to refraction through a convex and concave lens. When an object is placed in front of a lens, the light rays from the object falls on the lens. The position, size and nature of the image formed can be understood only if we know certain basic rules. We have three basic rules. Let's see one by one. In first rule, in the both lenses, a ray of light passing through the optical center goes without any deviation. Here, after striking the lens, there is no any changes. It continues to flow its path without any deviation. That is the first rule. Next rule for convex lens is that a ray of light parallel to the principal axis after refraction passes through the focus on the other side of the lens. So here, when rays parallel to the principal axis strikes a convex lens, the refracted rays are converged. In concave lens, a ray of light appears to diverge from the focus on the same side of the lens. So here, it is appeared to diverge from the principal focus. Here O is represented that optic center, F is the principal focus. Next is the rule 3. A ray of light passing through the focus after refraction goes parallel to the principal axis. It is opposite to the first rule. In the concave lens, a ray of light directed towards the focus after refraction goes parallel to the principal axis. Now we'll discuss about the formation of images by a convex lens when the object is placed at various positions. First we'll see the convex lens. An object is placed at infinity. When the object is placed at infinity, a real image is formed at the principal focus. The size of image is much smaller than that of the object. When an object is placed behind the center of curvature, beyond C, a real and inverted image is formed between the center of curvature and the principal focus. Here the size of image is same as that of object. When an object is placed at the center of curvature, a real and inverted image is formed at the center of curvature. The size of the image is same as that of the object. Here, when an object is placed in between the center of curvature and the principal focus, a real and inverted image is formed behind the center of curvature. The size of the image is bigger than that of the object. Now, object placed at the principal focus F. When an object is placed at the focus, a real image is formed at infinity. The size of the image is much larger than that of the object. An object placed between the principal focus F and optic center O. Here, what type of image is forming? A virtual image is formed. The size of the image is larger than that of object. Now we'll see the applications of convex lenses. Convex lenses are used as camera lenses. They are used as magnifying lenses. It is used in making microscope, telescope and slide projectors. It is used to correct the defect of vision called hypermetropia. Now let us discuss the formation of images by a concave lens when the object is placed at two possible positions. Object at infinity. When an object is placed at infinity, a virtual image is formed at the focus. The size of the image is much smaller than that of the object. When an object is placed at a finite distance from the lens, a virtual image is formed between optical center and focus of the concave lens. The size of the image is smaller than that of the object. Now we'll see the variation in position and size of the image with object distance in concave lens. As the distance between the object and the lens is decreased, the distance between the image and the lens also keeps decreasing. Further, the size of the image formed increases as the distance between the object and the lens is decreases. Figure shows the variation in position and size of the image with object distance. Now we'll see the applications of concave lenses. Concave lenses are used as eye lens of Galilean telescope. It is used in wide-angle spy hole indoors, and it is used to correct the defect of vision called myopia. Now we'll see the lens formula. Like spherical mirrors, we have lens formula for spherical lenses. The lens formula gives the relation among distance of the object u, distance of the image v, and focal length f of the lens. It is expressed as 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. It is applicable to both convex and concave lenses. We need to give an utmost care while solving numerical problems related to lenses in taking proper signs of different quantities. For that only we have the sign convention. Let's see the sign convention. Let us see the sign convention. Cartesian sign conventions are used for measuring the various distance in the ray diagrams of spherical lenses. According to Cartesian sign convention, the object is always placed on the left side of the lens. All the distance are measured from the optical center of the lens. Already you know that what is optical center. The distance measured in the same direction as that of incident light are taken as positive. Next, the distance measured against the direction of incident light are taken as negative. So, same direction, incident light are taken as positive, against the direction of incident light are taken as negative. The distance measured upward and perpendicular to the principal axis is taken as positive. The distance measured downward and perpendicular to the principal axis is taken as negative. These are the sign convention, and we'll see Cartesian sign convention. You have to follow this all while solving the problem. Now we'll see the magnification of lens. Like spherical mirrors, we have magnification for spherical lenses. Spherical lenses produce magnification, and it is defined as the ratio of height of image to the height of the object. Magnification is denoted by the letter m if height of the object is h and height of the image is h dash. The magnification produced by lens is m is equal to height of the image divided by height of the object is equal to h dash for height of the image and h is for the height of the object. Also, it is related to the distance of the object u and the distance of the object image v. And we have followed this formula. M is equal to distance of image is v, distance of object is u. Now we'll see what is the power of lens. When a ray of light falls on a light, the ability to converge or diverge these light rays depends on the focal length of the lens. This ability of lens to converge or diverge is called as its power. Hence, the power of lens can be defined as the degree of convergence or divergence of light rays. Power of a lens is numerically defined as the reciprocal of its focal length. So, P is equal to 1 by F, that is reciprocal of the focal length. Here SI unit of power is diopter, that is capital D. 1 diopter is the power of a lens whose focal length is 1 meter. The power of a convex lens is positive and the power of a concave lens is negative. Let's see the difference between convex and concave lens. In convex lens is thicker in the middle than at edges. Concave lens. A concave lens is thinner in the middle than at edges. Convex lens, it is also called converging lens. Concave lens is also called diverging lens. Convex lens produces mostly real images. Concave produces virtual images. Convex lens used to treat hypermetropia. Concave is used to treat myopia. The next topic we are going to see is about human eye. The human eyes are most valuable and sensitive organs responsible for vision. They are the gateway to the wonderful world. But there are many unfortunate people who cannot see and enjoy the colors of the world. This is all because of defects in their eyes. Let's go to see what actually happens. First, we are going to see about the structure of eye. Now we'll see the structure of the eye. The eyeball is approximately spherical in shape with a diameter of about 2.3 cm. It consists of a tow membrane called sclera which protects the internal parts of the eye. Parts of eye: lens, pupil, conjunctiva, cornea, iris, ciliary muscle, suspensory ligament, sclera, retina, fovea, optic nerves. First we'll see the parts and function of the human eye. First is cornea. Cornea, it is the thin membrane through which light enters the eye. It forms the transparent bulge on the front surface of the eye. Next is iris. Iris is a dark muscular diaphragm that controls the size of the pupil. Next part is going to see is about pupil. Pupil is the hole in the middle of iris. The pupil regulates and controls the amount of light entering the eye. Next is ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles change the thickness of the eye lens by focusing. Next part is eye lens. The eye lens is a convex lens made of transparent and flexible material. It forms an inverted real image of the object on the retina. Next is retina. The retina is a delicate membrane having enormous number of light sensitive cells on which the image is formed. The two types of light sensitive cells are rod cells and cone cells. We can able to see the rod cells and cone cells images. Now we'll see the working of the eye. The light rays coming from the object kept in front of us enter through the cornea of the eye, pass through the pupil of the eye and fall on the eye lens. The eye lens is a convex lens, so it converges the light rays and produces a real and inverted image of the object on the retina. The retina has a larger number of light sensitive cells. When the image falls on the retina, then these light sensitive cells get activated and generate electrical signals. The image formed on the retina is conveyed to the brain by the optic nerve and gives rise to the sensation of vision. Next we are going to see is about power of accommodation. The eye lens is composed of fibrous, jelly-like material. Its curvature can be modified to some extent by the ciliary muscles. The change in the curvature of eye lens can thus change its focal length. The ability of eye lens to adjust its focal length is called accommodation. When the muscles are relaxed, the lens becomes thin, thus its focal length increases when you are looking at object closer to the eye. Now we are going to see is about least distance of distant vision. In short form we'll say LDDV. The minimum distance at which objects can be seen mostly distantly without strain is called least distance of distant vision. For a normal eye, least distance of distance vision is 25 cm. Now we are going to see is about defects in eye. A normal human eye can clearly see all the objects placed between 25 cm and infinity. But for some people, the eye loses its power of accommodation. This could happen due to many reasons including aging, hence their vision becomes defective. Let us discuss some of the common defects of human eye. First defect is that myopia. Myopia is also called as nearsightedness. A person sees near object clearly while distant object appear blurred with myopia eye. In such a defective eye, the image of distant object is formed in front of the retina and not at the retina itself. Consequently, a nearsighted person cannot focus clearly on an object further away than the far point for the defective eye. Causes. This defect arises because the power of the eye is too great due to the decrease in focal length of crystalline lens. This may arise due to either excessive curvature of the cornea or elongation of eyeball. In this figure we can able to see image of the distant object is formed at in front of the retina, not at the retina. So this is the myopia eye and it is also called as nearsightedness. Now how to correct this myopia eye? This defect can be corrected by using a concave diverging lens. A concave lens of appropriate power or focal length is able to bring the image of the object back to the retina itself. In this image we can able to understand myopia eye, how they are correcting. In first image, that is the defect of myopia eye, parallel rays from distant object is focused in front of the retina. So this is the defect of myopia eye. How they correcting means by using lens, that is the concave lens, ray is diverged slightly and that ray is focused on retina. This is because of using concave lens. So how they correcting the myopia defects? By using the concave lens. Next defect we are going to see is about hypermetropia. It is also called farsightedness. Common name for defect in vision in which a person sees near object with blurred vision while distant object appears in sharp focus. In this case, the image is formed behind the retina. How its causes? This defect arises because either the focal length of the eye lens is too great or the focal eyeball becomes too short so that light rays from the nearby object, say at point N, cannot be brought to focus on the retina to give a distance image. In this defect of eye, while we seeing this image, we can able to understand hypermetropia in that ray is reaching behind the retina, not on the retina. So that a person with hypermetropia sees near objects with blurred vision. How to correct this hypermetropia? This defect can be corrected by using a convex, it is converging lens, of appropriate focal length. When the object is at N, the eye exerts its maximum power of accommodation. Eye glasses with converging lenses supply the additional focusing power required for forming the image on the retina. This image, we can able to see the parallel rays from distant object is reaching behind the retina. Then how to correct this hypermetropia? By using convex, that is converging lens. So when we use this convex lens, this lens makes rays converge slightly and the ray is focused on retina. Next defect is that presbyopia. Presbyopia, progressive form of farsightedness that affects most people by their early 60s. The power of accommodation of the eye decreases with aging. Most people find that the near point gradually recedes. In this image, we can able to see the defects of presbyopia. In normal eye, images are formed directly on the retina, creating good close-up vision. But in presbyopia eye, the lens ages and stiffness, images are formed behind the retina, causing blurry close-up vision. Presbyopia mainly because of aging. The aging lens loses its ability to change shape. Reading glasses or bifocals are required. Loss of accommodation is called presbyopia. Next defect of vision is that astigmatism. Astigmatism, a defect on the outer curvature on the surface of the eye that causes distorted vision. In astigmatism, a person cannot simultaneously focus on both horizontal and vertical lines. This is due to the imperfect structure of eye lens because of the development of cataract on the lens, ulceration of cornea, injury to the refracting surfaces. Astigmatism can be corrected by using cylindrical lenses, toric lenses. Next topic we are going to see is about microscope. Microscope is an optical instrument which helps us to see tiny objects. This microscope classified as 2. Simple microscope, compound microscope. In simple microscope, we have convex lens of shortest focal length. It is held near the eye to get enlarged image of small objects. Here, let an object AB is placed at a point within the principal focus. U is less than focal length of the convex lens and the observer's eye is placed just behind the lens. As per this position, the convex lens produces an erect, virtual and enlarged image on A-B'. The image formed is in the same side of the object and the distance equal to the least distance of the distant vision D. For normal human eye, D is equal to 25 cm that we already know. Now we'll see the uses of simple microscope. It is used by watch repairs and jewelers, and it is used to read small letters clearly. It is used to observe parts of flower, insects, etc. Next microscope is the compound microscope. Compound microscope is also used to see the tiny objects. It has better magnification power than simple microscope. A compound microscope consists of the two convex lenses. The lens with the shorter focal length is placed near the object and is called as objective lens or objective piece. The lens with larger focal length and larger aperture placed near the observer's eye is called as eye lens or eyepiece. Both the lenses are fixed in a narrow tube with adjustable provision. Let's see how it's working. The object AB is placed at a distance slightly greater than the focal length of objective lens. A real inverted and magnified image formed on A dash B dash on the other side of the objective lens. This image behaves as the object for the eye lens. The position of the eye lens is adjusted in such a way that the image A dash B dash falls within the principal focus of the eyepiece. This eyepiece forms a virtual enlarged and erect image A dash, A double dash, A B double dash on the same side of the object. Compound microscope has 50 to 200 times more magnification power than the simple microscope. Next topic is the traveling microscope. A traveling microscope is one of the best instruments for measuring very small length with high degree of accuracy at the order of 0.01 millimeter. It works based on the principle of Vernier. Its least count is 0.01 millimeter. Next topic is going to see is about telescope. Have you seen the recent lunar eclipse? With our naked eye, we cannot visualize the phenomena distantly. Then how can we see the distant object in clearer manner? It is possible with telescope. Telescope is an optical instrument to see the distant objects. In this telescope, we have two types of telescope, astronomical telescope and terrestrial telescope. Let's see what is astronomical telescope. Astronomical telescope is used to view heavenly bodies like stars, planets, galaxies and satellites. Next is terrestrial telescope. The image in an astronomical telescope is inverted, so it is not suitable for viewing objects on the surface of the earth. Therefore, a terrestrial telescope is used. It provides an erect image. The major difference between astronomical and terrestrial telescope is erecting the final image with respect to the object. What are the advantages of telescopes? It elaborate view of the galaxies, planets, stars and other heavenly bodies is possible. And its camera can be attached for taking photograph for the celestial objects. Telescope can be viewed even with the low intensity of light. Then what is the disadvantages? If you used frequently, maintenance needed. It is not easy portable one. Dear children, I hope you all understand. Once again go through all the topics. Thank you.